Now, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu warns that despite 5 decades of progress, ECOWAS still faces grave security challenges. He urges regional leaders to adopt a unified approach to tackling these threats, expressing concern over delays in activating the force. Tinubu says he is a little bit worried about the slow pace of its activation, which is taking longer than desired. Arise correspondent Punariman Benjamin reports.
The 67th ordinary session of the ECOWAS Authority of Heads of State and Government has ended in Abuja, Nigeria. The summit draws 8 regional presidents, ministers, diplomats, and key stakeholders from across West Africa. As President Bola Tinubu's 2-year tenure as ECOWAS chair comes to an end, he's calling for stronger and faster security interventions across the sub-region, especially in tackling terrorism and instability.
We must act decisively to operationalize the ECOWAS standby force on the fight against terrorism to serve as an instrument for peace and stability for our region. I am pleased to note that under my stewardship as the chair of authority, the ECOWAS military logistic depot in Lungui, Sierra Leone, has been completed.
In his acceptance speech, newly elected ECOWAS chairman and president of Sierra Leone, Julius Maada Dayo, laid out 4 key priorities for his administration.
We are still confronting insecurity in the Sahel and coastal states. Terrorism, political instability, illicit arms flow, and transnational organized crimes continue to test the resilience of our nations and the effectiveness of our institutions.
And let's bring you the Rise News analyst Dayo Sobowale to help us review Tinubu's 2-year leadership of ECOWAS and set agenda for the new leader, Sierra Leone's bill. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. It's a pleasure of being here. Right.
For the brevity of time, let's just hit the ground running.
Right.
Right now, it's almost clear that ECOWAS look like an outdated institution because of the progress that this defected state, some will say, talking about the junta states, have actually witnessed in that same period of time. And people are saying that if they can do that, and ECOWAS are still flip-flopping and still foot-dragging.
Okay, I would just say, don't drag ECOWAS in the mud. ECOWAS is not that bad. And in a way, I mean, I agree with you that maybe ECOWAS is obsolete, but my reasons will be different from yours.
Okay.
So let's start from there. You see, what Tinubu has lamented is about security. And that is the activation of the joint force. He thought the joint force was there, and then you just, for the taking, you deploy it. Just like the Americans, went on Saturday night and accomplished what the whole world has not been able to achieve. So that's why the issue of your saying it is obsolete comes in now. America did that without the help of NATO, which is the equivalent of our ECOWAS.
Yes.
Do you get me? And they did it. So maybe the era of unilateralism is here. But that's another matter. Let's deal with ECOWAS here. You see, his lamentation was on security, and it is justified. Get me? But the man succeeding in knows what he's talking about. Because Sierra Leone, at the time, was in the hands of terrorists. It was Nigeria that rescued it, just like we rescued Liberia. Now, I think before Tinubu became president, he thought once there is any coup or things like that, we'll just say it like that and they move. But it didn't happen that way. That's his own frustration. But then it's not his fault. It's not his fault. Insecurity is the most powerful problem facing West Africa now. I just read some piece that very soon the jihadists will come to the Atlantic nations, the Atlantic coast, and from there they will be able to smuggle people across, smuggle arms across, and all the crimes they are committing now. So the alert that Tinubu, or lamentation that he gave, is poignant and relevant. And that should be the challenge before the new ECOWAS chairman. That should be the major challenge. The two of them have spoken very well about economic integration and political stability, but they both agreed that you can't have integration and stability if you do not have security. So that's the challenge. And the sooner we confront the menace of the jihadists coming from the Sahel to the coastal cities, the sooner the better. If you can do it through ECOWAS, fine and good. If you cannot, you can do it unilaterally. Because the world of international relations and cooperation has been given, how do I put now, a great knock on the head with what the Israelis have done and what the Americans have done. So it's better to put your house in order first and protect yourself before you look for bilateral.
We know what bilateral.
Bilateralism or multilateralism. Yes, let's go to that.
Also, Mr. Sobowale, I appreciate what you mentioned about insecurity being the top priority, and that if we cannot address that via ECOWAS, then it should be addressed unilaterally. Yes. Based on the body language that you're seeing from this new chair, do you think that we might be going for the option one, addressing insecurity via ECOWAS, or option two, unilateral addressing of insecurity?
You see, the new chairman, if you want to be, it's not that I'm being nasty, if you want to be blunt, you can't put him in the same, you can't put Sierra Leone in the same status as Nigeria. Get me? That was why Tinubu was emboldened to make force to bring back Niger Republic. But internal, multi-ethnic, multi-religious factors held his hand, even here in Nigeria before. And you see, the three nations that have gone military now, instead they will soon come back. I share that view, because you know the military, from my experience, once they are there, for some time people will welcome them, herald them, and all that. But you see, they too get a mess in mismanagement and corruption. And then, you see, they accentuate the problem in the country. So maybe another set of rulers come in. Or the people rise up and say, okay, they want democracy, they have not had enough of military rule. So it's a matter between governance and poverty alleviation and unemployment management. If youths are not getting jobs, they are food for fodder for those jihadists, give them some money. In areas where there is no governance, drive people there, extract the minerals there, get some money, and recruit more people. And you see, we have not been able to face this situation. I say that the problem we are facing in West Africa is jihadism. You get me? That is our problem. Once we face that, then we'll know how to face it, the problem amongst ourselves. And it started right from Obama. You get me? They were not talking, what do you call it, suicide bombers. You could not call them suicide bombers before, or you call them jihadists. This language, they were not calling them, they were calling them religious. You look at the literature on terrorism. In most places, people avoid the use of jihadism, whereas that is the core menace after climate change and poverty and unemployment. That is the core security problems we have in West Africa.
All right, what has it been? Thanks to you, Dayo Sobowale, Arise News analyst.